that's why it's really important to have a plan and understand what your goals are.
In fact, my camel out there is suffering right now with a broken back.
So I actually found Pepe when it was only a couple of hours old, and I'm like, oh, this is a funny meme.
Oh my god.
Yo! Who is this degen?
The old man is swing trading over years at a time. And it's like, that's where the real money is made.
The answer is a permanent loss. With single-sided staking, you don't have to worry about impermanent loss.
Really, at the end of the day, it's just a matter of a macro market. It's just what happens.
If you're aware, if you're disciplined, you can hone that into further financial growth.
Financial freedom, so we can actually live life and not have to be constantly living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, more or less, right?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and D-gentlemen of all ages. Welcome back to the Degen Roundtable for your flagship Sunday news show. I am your host for the evening, Zenith, bit of a government and legal analyst over on these sides of the fences. But tonight we are going to be talking about some interesting stuff. We got some funny stories for you about BBC Scotland getting their Twitter hacked. We also have the main story of the evening is, yes, the U.S.-China trade deal looks like it might be approaching here shortly. That was one of the big concerns for the market previously. So to see it getting all wrapped up should give a little confidence back to the market. Outside of that, we have some other stuff to talk about tonight. But outside of that, let's talk about the folks that are joining me here tonight. I have my excellent co-host, as always, Mr. Will Stevenson. How you doing, buddy?
Life is good, bro. Chilling out over here I think I'm in Nebraska right now, about to go over to Indiana, knock some towers over, hang out, have fun. But yeah, this U.S.-China trade deal is a bit interesting. There's been a lot of stuff going back and forth as far as like what's actually going to happen. I just think that the world is so ran by people that I have no idea about, that it's all just a big fun speculation game. But it's good to see something happening, and anything that makes the green candles pump our bags, I'm all about it. Brendan, how are you doing, broski?
I'm doing pretty well. Been sick all week. I was here Wednesday and I had a voice. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I literally could barely talk at all. It's been a bit of a rough week. Today, I could talk most of the day, but went to a Renaissance fair, had some mead, went to the bar, watched some football, had some drinks. You know, my voice is starting to but other than that, some positive news in the markets, and I'm here for it. So happy to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you for pushing through. We love having a third on the show. So thanks for showing up, brother. Alrighty, Will, I think it is about time that we say hello to the good people that have joined us this evening.
It's time for chat motherfucking shoutouts. Go ahead, take it away, Mr. Zenith.
Will do. Number one degen of the evening. Good to see him back on top. Centurion54X, aka 54 Cent. He says, "What's up, degens? Good to see you, man. Always a pleasure to have you." Up next, we have currently one of the more hated members of our community because he's a big Dodgers fan, and apparently no one likes the Dodgers. That's Brown K Farmer J. He says, "West up, degens." It's like, all right, hey, look, I imagine life's going pretty good for you. You guys are 1-1 in the World Series right now. Granted, everyone is cheering against you, but Shohei Ohtani just continues to do what he does, which is throw strikes and hit bombs. So, hey, cheers to you guys. But more importantly, cheers to Slide 180, our good buddy. He says, "Cheers, y'all. Good to see you, sir. Hope you're having an excellent evening out there." Bean getting in here with his own hero prees. We also got our good friend Dr. Alan Chen of Your Health Unplugged. He said, "Are there extra egg rolls on the negotiating table?" There might be. There just might be. Slide is saying crypto slowly going up like predicted. We do like to see that when it happens. So we'll be talking a little bit about that and the charts of the market tonight, seeing what exactly is going on. Do we have an opportunity for an October still, or is that dream dead? More on that later. But yes, we have Brown, and he's not alone. We actually have Hexkin Lost in Asia saying "Go Dodgers" as well. So there you go. I hope you guys are enjoying everything going on right now. But outside of that, that is all we got for chat shoutouts. So with that being said, let's talk about what happens when you don't protect your social media properly. Well, BBC Scotland found out about that one. They had a very fun time when they got hacked. And turns out that someone started using their platform to shill a bunch of crypto stuff. So coming to us from the Scottish Sun, Bizarre Scotland's social media account had been hacked with over 20 bizarre posts. We have this one right here. Airdrop claim loading. We're thrilled to launch the Monad Community Airdrop, a program rewarding active users, participants, and builders. Last I checked, BBC wasn't running crypto projects, but here we are. A total of 20 posts over pretty much an hour. So that was real quick. But a lot of them are sharing links towards the Monad airdrop page, urging followers to join a crypto stock launch event, tagging several other accounts. One was captioned as a proud moment, whilst another said, incredible to see 150K strong. Oh my gosh. Well, there you go. Someone was taking the piss out of BBC Scotland. So, well, what do you expect? So, gentlemen, would you trust a crypto project that is being shouted out by BBC suddenly?
No. End of sentence. No. The British
Depends
Broadcasting
on the crypto
Corporation.
project. If they said, let's go Pulse Chain, I'd be like, I'm in. I gotta get it back. But it is interesting. It's like, why would anyone think that a random outlet, a news outlet of all places, would be like, okay, here's 15 random coins when we've never talked about crypto. In fact, we've hated on crypto ever since it's been, in the mainstream, mainstream in quotations, but yeah, no, very odd.
Yeah, definitely odd for sure. Folks, keep those logins secure. If you're going to use two-factor authentication, I would highly recommend it myself. But as always, nothing we say is legal, financial advice, or even, well, I guess we do give some security advice, but can't really get sued for that one. So there you go.
And also, if
Alrighty.
you're trusting the BBC, just kind of like as a blank check sort of approach, you might need to rethink your news consumption strategies. So
that is very true. The legacy media has definitely taken a lot of hits over the last 2 decades effectively. So I'm still slightly surprised that many people tune in and treat it with any degree of seriousness, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Ready. Tell you what, gentlemen, let's get into the big one of the evening. Mr. Brendan, can you please explain to us, what do we have here?
Well, it is a very, very interesting situation. China-US has been going back and forth when it comes to trade talks. China says, hey, the world, we're going to start to secretly extra tax people, not the United States, but around the world. The United States came back and said, look, if you're going to start to hurt other people that trade with us, then we're going to have to add more tariffs onto China. So the United States said, okay, we're going to bump the tariffs up to 100% on China starting November 1st. But they were open to negotiations. All week they've been talking, and apparently this week, maybe today, I think it was, they were in Kuala Lumpur, and they apparently came to a trade deal. Not just a trade deal, but a trade deal that is zero tariffs on both sides. I'm very interested to hear what this actual trade deal is, because if the United States isn't tariffing China at all, it means that China has come to some major concessions that is going to benefit the United States. So I think that this could potentially be huge news, not just for the United States, but for the markets in general. Because remember, the previous one was like, okay, China, you're doing pretty good, but we're still going to slap 30% tariffs on you. If the United States is serious about taking all of tariffs off China, that means China is giving something serious in return. That means we're probably getting some really big deals when it comes to military, comes to them refining minerals for us. Now, can you ever trust China long term? I don't know. We'll see what this deal actually is. But on the surface, in the short term, for the markets, it's looking very juicy.
That is true. So tell you what, let's get into it. So coming to us from Immortal or Real Immortal 33 or 333 on the old X, says big breaking: U.S. and China reach a trade consensus after a candid and constructive talk in Kuala Lumpur. Path on the table: tariff suspensions, export control review, anti-drug cooperation, and trade expansion. Next steps: internal approvals. Somewhere here at the bottom says risk on fuel if finalized. Semiconductors, EMs, shipping, commodities, and crypto. So the actual tweet that we have from Walter Bloomberg is China and U.S. reach trade consensus. China's Vice Minister of Commerce, Li Zhengang, announced that China and the United States reached a consensus on key trade issues after their talks. And yep, there you go. That's all the stuff we pretty much talked about. One of the big ones here is an issue that the United States has been trying to crack down on is the importation of fentanyl through all the different cartels and whatnot. So what does China have to do with that? Well, China produces the fentanyl, and then it gets shipped over to the cartels, and then they lace it into the stuff, and then it gets in the schmack, and then people start not feeling so great and potentially dying. So this is a big kind of like roundabout way to crack down on other issues by going to the source of the issue. So big stuff there. But the main thing that we're talking about it for is that, well, it definitely affected the markets previously, and with some stability back, we're expecting to see more stability and growth potentially in the near future. So we've talked about this a little bit in the past, but this was our big flash crash event here. This is Bitcoin chart, by the way, on the daily. So this big one, that is our great giant liquidation event. And then afterwards, we also have some of the US China trade tariff stuff going on that also depressed the market a little bit more. But now that we're through all of it, we're actually seeing some bumps toward the upside. Most notably, it looks like we could have some recovery of daily moving averages. I'll talk about more of the charts later on, but right now I definitely do want to dive in on the trade deal stuff. So coming to us from Being Crypto, US-China spurs immediate market resolution following the working level discussions concluded on Sunday. They signaled the framework that agreed major trade issues nearing completion. The two nations are considering a 1-year delay in China's export controls on rare earth minerals, which is a primary point of recent friction. In recent, the U.S. is expected to hold off on imposing the threatened 100% tariffs on Chinese goods. China also agreed to increase import of U.S. soybeans and agricultural products. The U.S. pledged to review the relaxation on specific export controls and the adjustment of port fees on China. Following the news, the Bitcoin price immediately rose about 2%. Gentlemen, is 2% for a Bitcoin price in the daily change? Is that a lot or a little?
Wowee.
It's not much. Let's be real here.
Okay.
It's all right. It's not much, but it's better than getting below 100K. It's starting to move back up in the right direction.
That is very true. So could it be daily fluctuations? Could it be the trade deal? Well, only time will tell. But the market reacted to the news immediately, underscores the relief over resolving the 100% tariff threat, which had been significant constraint on asset prices. Altcoins that had lagged due to geopolitical uncertainty, such as Hyperliquid and World Liberty Finance Coin, also saw sharp increases. As a result, Bitcoin is up 6% on the week, reclaiming the $113,000 level, while altcoins quickly followed suit. Ethereum went up 4%, Solana gained almost 6%, but what we're also seeing is that whales are starting to accumulate. The shift in the U.S.-China sentiment was swift. Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, discussed additional software export controls as a retaliatory measure. However, on-chain data from the sentiment on-chain analysis platform suggests that large crypto investors quickly anticipated the diplomatic shift and entered into the buy-the-dip positions. In recent days, wallets holding between 100 and 10,000 ETH have added about 218,000 Ethereum, nearly $870 million. So definitely no small chunk of change right there. Well, look, we've been trying to figure out what was going on. Were we going down towards 100K? Were we going to recover and go up somewhere else? Well, I think it's pretty safe to say that we have confirmed that this was the local bottom and that we're kind of going back up from there. Overall, I think that this is all good news, and there's a lot of other news going on right now, namely like the government shutdown and whether or not that's going to get resolved. And then as a result of that, there are certain agencies that are not releasing data, like financial data. So we don't have the Bureau of Labor Statistics actually releasing reports, which the Federal Reserve uses to make decisions. And last I checked, we have a Federal Reserve meeting in like 3 days. So overall, is this the biggest story? I would argue it actually pretty much is. Outside of that, though, there are still a lot of other unresolved things. Gentlemen, do you think that we've seen the end of the U.S.-China trade saga as it stands right now?
No. I mean, short term, 6 months, maybe. But look, United States and China are never going to have an end of the trade saga because they're enemies. We're enemies. Like we have very different, ideas of what this world should look like. We have very different ideas of how people should live their lives and, if they should have freedoms or not. So I think there's always going to be, at the core of everything, some sort of tug of war between the United States and China. Do I hope that this, dies down and keeps everybody cool so we can have some epic pumps in the next 6 months, 3 months, whatever it is? Then yes. But do I think it's over for good? No. And also, We did get one set of data. We got CPI data this week, Zenith. So we'll talk about that at some point as well.
Definitely. Will, are we out of the weeds? I saw you shake your head no.
I don't think so. I think the United States and China are like just gonna keep swatting at each other. We have different missions that go in different paths, right? Like we have different places that we want our countries to be, or rather the people in charge of our two countries have different places they want them to be. They're not working together a whole lot. And so this is, I just see this as kind of like a lull in the firefight sort of deal. I don't know a fucking thing about what I'm talking about. I just know that, you've got two big giant superpowers that are both trying to dominate the world space, right? The United States, we run on the oil, violence, and that sort of and money printer dollar dependency. And China, they're trying to create. They're a big part of the new BRICS currency system that's coming out. So like you've already got like major financial clashing between the two like massive world powers there. So I don't see this trade agreement, this tariff thing is, I think, small beans in a big pile of problems. And if we can keep tariffs low and keep my Walmart goods cost nicely and make it very nice and easy for me to buy Talaria X3 electric dirt bikes, then I would be fantastically happy and satisfied. But I don't think that it's going to last forever. I think that especially with the whimsical characters that we have at the helm, I think that it's just a matter of time before something else falls through and the next thing. So perhaps the powers that be want us to play nice and feel good for a little bit, but I don't think that we're out of the woods. I don't think that we're ever going to be out of the woods. I think it's just going to be one thing next after the other, and the next crazy thing might dominate the news cycle, and people react accordingly. So if all of a sudden, that monkeypox thing was happening for a while there, there's like swine flu, there's like, oh, we're going to war with China, there's like, oh no, we're bombing Gaza. There's like, oh, geez, Louise, we gotta destroy Ukraine or kill the Russians or whatever, right? Like whatever the topic du jour is, the market's going to react the way it's going to react, and lots of people are going to make money, and those people are probably not you and me. And so whatever's going to happen, we're going to catch the delicious, juicy scraps that fall off the table, and hopefully that's good enough to pump our bags and bring us a little bit of sovereignty and stuff. That's my very not cynical take on this whole thing.
Hey, it makes sense to me, and I think I'm right there with you, which is like, is this one event looking like it's wrapping up? Yeah, I would say so. But the game is always afoot, especially when it comes to international relations and just the overall metagame of just like everything going on in the world. Yeah, no, I expect other stuff to come up later. This was not nearly as big of a black swan event as the giant liquidation that we just had. So we're a little more focused on that one and trying to interpret what happened there. But at the same time, though, time and time again, we see that these kind of news stories do affect the crypto markets, largely because it affects investor confidence in what is a risk on or risk off kind of world. So we were leaning towards risk off there pretty heavily, actually, over the last 2-3 weeks. So with this resolving, and then a lot of the information coming out about the great liquidation event that we had, I think that we're getting closer back to a more confident environment. I mean, in particular, I want to say the volatility index is down. So showing that being down is a very good thing. Let's check it out real quick as well. Might as well. So yeah, we saw spikes in the volatility index here previously, but as it stands right now, this stuff is dropping it back down lower, and the lower it goes, the more stable things are, and the more stable things are, we can get back towards steady growth. So if you're like the S&P 500, then the answer is that you kind of just keep going up and to the right, as we saw. But like, oh my gosh, this chart blows my mind every time. That one and the gold one, by the way, also just blows my mind. But yeah, even the major markets took a significant hit with the China trade stuff coming out. But outside of that, I do believe we are getting back closer towards that risk on environment, which is good to see because we're kind of expecting a bit of a bull run when it comes to crypto. So there you go. Bull run canceled? I think not.
It's a good thesis.
Right.
Zenith, before you move on, it's interesting because you say bull run canceled. I think not. I think we were sitting here 2 weeks ago, right? And we said, okay, we think there's 5% chance that the bull run's over. And then the next day, right, we saw it crash down. And we saw some huge influencers throughout crypto saying, okay, bull run's over. It's the top. going into stables, take stables. If you're watching me, take stables. Like, we're not talking about a small amount of influencers. A lot of KOLs are saying, okay, bull market is over. Guess who didn't say that yet? Degen Roundtable, baby. Get it?
I wonder if if KOL is going to be like the new version of the pundit, like crypto KOLs or news KOLs or YouTubers, if that's going to be like the new version of like Rush Limbaugh or Jimmy Kimmel's a bad choice because he's a comedian, but like, the people that talk to the masses and tell them like, these are the things you should think this opinion about, and blah,
I think the acronym KOL is one of the stupidest, most fucking retarded acronyms, pardon my French, pardon the R word, that I've ever heard in my entire life. Like,
well,
it's so stupid.
I've got an alternative interpretation or like spelling. So instead of KOL spelling out key opinion leader, I think that KOL actually means campfire storyteller. That's what I think that acronym stands for. KOL, you've got campfire storyteller. Bam.
Where's S? How do you get story from? Oh,
yeah, KOL, campfire storyteller. It's clear as the light of day. It all
makes
lines
sense if
up.
you don't think about it.
It makes sense if you don't think about it, which you shouldn't be, like, folks shouldn't be thinking about it because none of it's supposed to make sense. We're all like little priests and laymen and clergy members in our own little tiny, I don't want to say religion, but like pseudo religion thing, going around telling each other these fancy little campfire stories that will make people either feel better or feel worse. They're either buying or they're selling. And how effective KOLs or influencers or whatever you want to call it are depends on the level of influence that they have, which is the number of people that are changing their emotion from up to down or down to up. Like when you've got 2 million followers or whatever the heck on X, and you say something, like there's a lot of people that are going to take action as a result of that saying. I think that like the statistic is something like 1% of anything that any sort of call to action ever by some sort of influencer is people actually taking active action on it, right? So if you've got a clergy of 100,000 people and you say go do this, then 1,000 people are going to go and do it. Generally speaking, if you have a big old riot full of a whole bunch of ne'er-do-wells and you say like we should stop this riot or something, then like 1,000 people will stop the riot or whatever the hell. Like I think that just people are able to influence others, and the efficacy of it will come and shift as the tide goes. So I do agree with you, Brendan. It is a stupid name because it almost gives some sort of like gravitas to the title, but I think that we can make fun of it and just call them campfire storytellers.
Look, I'm right there with you guys, which is that I think that corporate speak is stupid, and this seems like one of those things for me, which is like it was just a rebrand. It always was, always will be. Just trying to make it sound like you're not an influencer, largely because there's a lot of crazy folks out in the influencer space, and just trying to get some legitimacy. But at the same time, like just understand what you are. You are alternative news sources, which are effectively a million independent journalists on the internet, just trying to speak their piece and analyze the news like we're doing effectively. So, do I think that like it's good? Yeah, I do. I think more voices is better because we get more research out of it and more hopefully well thought about opinions so that we can really tackle issues. But at the same time, though, KOL, stupid.
kind of a fun title.
Tell you what, let's go to something else that might be kind of stupid. Well, inflation's back on the rise. Coming to us, we have a little bit of data from the BLS. Thank you guys for getting the CPI report out. So looks like we had consumer price index for all urban consumers increased 0.3% on the seasonally adjusted basis after rising 0.4% in August. Over the last 12 months, all items increased 3% before seasonal adjustment. So index for gasoline was up 4.1, and then energy was a 1.5. But overall, what we're looking at here is, well, this, which is that, yes, we are moving away from our target 2% inflation point, and we're going back up to 3. So we've been fighting this for a long time. I don't know if this is good news. Look, is it 1 month? Yes. But is it also like 5 months in a row where it's been creeping up? Yes, that's one of the bigger concerns here. So overall, again, going back to the idea of are we risk on or are we risk off right now? Inflation might be saying something else. So you got to see what's going on.
It did come in less than expected, less than anticipated. So that was good, at least.
True. But overall, I mean, does this change the outlook that we have right now when it comes to what we're expecting from the Federal Reserve, which is obviously they have the dual mandate, stable prices, full employment. Previously, up to this point, we just made our shift down the track of trying to go after full employment effectively instead of inflation. But now inflation's starting to creep up. Do you think that Jerome's going to be changing stance again anytime soon, or we're just going to keep going down the same path? Brennan, you are muted, my man.
You are muted.
If he starts to talk about changing his path, I don't think he'll be there very long, to be honest with you. But and I'm not saying I agree with that necessarily, but more than that, I don't know, Zenith, you and I were talking about this like 6, 7, 8 months ago. We're like, when does 3 become the new 2? Right? Like, we might never get back to 2%, and if it's a 3 or less, they'll be like, okay, we're kind of close enough. So I don't know what their long-term plan is. I'd like this to go down. Now, there were a couple things that were up higher that I think were, so gasoline and food went up, right? A fair amount. Was that 2 of them? I forget. I looked at this a few days ago, but I've been sick all week, so my mind isn't there. But there was something when it comes to energy that went up like a fair amount. And those things, are seasonal. So for those being up, I think the core inflation actually looks really good. And the overall inflation would probably look better if the energy wasn't as high as it was. Food still housing still looked pretty good. That's weighted pretty high when it comes to the inflation scale. And so, yeah, overall, I actually thought the numbers were better than I expected. And there were a few things that actually made numbers look better. If you dig into a little deeper, you're like, okay, these things are probably not things that are going to stay high long, and they're probably affecting the numbers in the short term a little bit more than they might in a few months. So honestly, when I was looking through the numbers, I actually thought they looked better than I anticipated.
I can get behind that sentiment. I think I'm still largely in the camp of like, why not 2%? What are we doing here? I understand that right now inflation is not the answer, but to your point that you started off with, there is 3 the new 2. I think the answer is largely yes, or at least 2 is the stated goal. But are we actually going to achieve that goal? Probably not. Let's be real here. So call it cynical, but I think it's realistic. Alrighty.
I like 2%. Honestly, like, unless our GDP is going to go crazy, we can't afford to give really high inflation.
Yeah,
and 3% isn't terrible in the short term, but when you had 10% for years, 3% looks pretty bad.
That it does. Tell you what, though, let's dive into some of the other numbers going on here. Big question that we've been trying to figure out is October canceled? Well, we've been dancing around this topic a little bit tonight, so let's go ahead and get into it. Coming to us from CoinGlass, as it stands currently, we're up 1.5 percentage point, which all things considered, after everything going on, you know what? It sounds like a win, so I'm here for it. But overall, what is exactly going on? Well, let's turn to the chart. All right, where's my 1st of October? There you are. This is our big green candle right here. Excellent start, I got to say. So we started off at about 14,144. We're currently at 14,800 and change. So we are dancing right on it, and we got 3 days left, or 5 days left effectively. So overall, like, I think we're in a good spot, especially considering we're just getting through that 20-day moving average. Or sorry, that's the 50-day moving average, actually. We broke through the 20 yesterday. So overall, it looks like things are pointing towards up. The reason I say that, RSI, we're continuing to move higher and higher. We even have a new higher low before moving through our moving average on the RSI itself. Additionally, getting through some key levels, this $109,000 area, we got through that. And then this next area I'm looking at is about 118,000. But as it stands, 115, 116, that's from previous one right here. A little bit of our run up before that. And then it was a little bit of support when we back in August and late July, when we were going towards that first all-time high before our second one there. So overall, I think October is probably going to close green. If I had to guess, let's say that, what if we end there? 118,000. 118, it's about 4,000 higher. So it's close to like 3-ish%, I think. Is it the double digit up that we were hoping for? No, but at the same time, though, we did also have a bit of an anomaly when it comes to the last month, which is September is usually not green, but we closed it green for this one. So, I don't know. Take that one, add it on to the next one, call it a win. Win's a win, baby. You know, what do you guys think? Am I just overhyping this? Being too optimistic? We going down to 100K actually, or what?
I look at this chart and I think to myself, what the fuck does this thing mean? But like, patterns. I'm sure there's patterns in there. I don't know if I drink that delicious pattern juice.
If we're thinking extended,
You were muted.
muted
There you go.
I don't know why that popped on. If we're thinking extended cycle, then the new October might be November, December. The cycle might just be a little different this time. I don't know. So
I think that's a compelling argument for sure, which is that things are changing. Therefore, don't expect the old patterns to apply like precisely. That makes total sense because things can shift around. But what we're really looking for is like the overall sentiment of when do the markets usually perform well? And it's like, okay, is it specifically based on calendar or is it based on kind of similar times in the cycle? So like you said, if you get that extended cycle, it means everything's kind of shifted over to the right a little bit. So makes sense. November and December, look, I hope they close green because I'm holding bags, so I would like it to go up. But at the same time, I do think that actually gives even more credence to the idea of the extended cycle. As it stands right now, we are approaching the end of the window. If you want to go top to top for the 4-year cycle, which is the less accurate version of the 4-year cycle, bottom to bottom is usually the much, much more consistent one. But at the same time, like this is theoretically the end game that we've been talking about for like 2-3 years at this point. This is the point that we've been waiting for. We marked it out on the calendars back when we started streaming all that stuff. And now, look, like we're here. We're here. So it's definitely time to be paying attention, which is why, again, indicators like this, maybe some other our favorite indicators like Pi Cycle Top, our MVRVZ score, business cycle. If you want to get into the old rainbow bands about Fibonacci levels above certain areas, yeah, that's the stuff to be watching out for. So
moon charts,
Coinbase app being number 1 on the App Store.
Yeah, it's true.
Finance, whatever.
I want to see this all relayed over like big moon, small moon, or a fucking full moon, no moon.
Oh, you want your moon cycle tracker?
Yes, I want the moon cycle tracker.
All right, I'll update that one for you and post it in the Telegram.
Yep.
Gosh, that is a deep reference, sir. I think like one of the first few shows I was with you guys was talking about simulations that I ran. And it was like, theoretically, if you bought and sold at new moons and full moons, you'd be up a little bit, but it wasn't like too statistically higher than just like normal, just Bitcoin price.
It's not necessarily about buying and selling. It's about the fact that people act crazier during full moon times. That's what it's really about. Like whether sentiment is up or sentiment is down, like I think if you just look at like the volatility candles, right? Or not the volatility, the volume candles during new and old moons or something, you would probably see a lot more correlation, or you would see a lot more action of like people buying, people selling during full moons versus during, no moons and things. Those are my thoughts.
True. Alrighty, tell you what, let's keep this show rolling. We got a few more articles that we want to talk about. Gentlemen, what do you want to talk about? CZ, Polymarket, or crypto projects getting some capital to get going?
I think Polymarket is always fun. I do enjoy me some Polymarket.
That's true. We were talking about the Federal Reserve a little bit. And for those that don't know, Polymarket is an online betting website where you can bet on pretty much anything. As it stands right now. Yes, gamble. As it stands right now, I think one of the more popular markets that they have going right now or people are predicting when the government shutdown is going to end. And call it a little cynical, but there is a 44% share of folks that are saying past November 16th, aka like looking at Thanksgiving and beyond. Crazy to think about that they're predicting new longest government shutdown of all time. But that's not the story. Here's the story. Polymarket airdrop confirmed. Here's what you need to know. Following its confirmation of a future token launch and airdrop, prediction market Polymarket is prioritizing re-entry into the U.S. market after securing the necessary regulatory clearances. Polymarket confirmed plans to launch its long-awaited Poly token alongside an airdrop, making key steps for fast-growing prediction market platform. Confirmation came from Chief Marketing Officer Matthew Modabber, hell of a name, who said during an interview on the DGens live podcast with some cousins of ours, probably, that they would definitely include both a token and an airdrop. Quote, there will be a token, there will be an airdrop. We could have launched a token whenever we wanted, but we want it to truly have utility and longevity, to be around forever. That's what we expect from ourselves, and that's what everyone in the space expects from us as well. The remarks put to rest months of speculation following Shane Copland, the founder's October 9th post, hinting at the native Poly token that could eventually rank among the largest cryptocurrencies by market capitalization. And there you go. Polymarket founder and new self-made billionaire Shane Kaplan teases the Poly token. So, well, I think this one was kind of inevitable, which is that this is Polymarket crypto? No. Has it been very crypto adjacent though? I would argue yes. And if there's anything that we've been looking at in projects over here, it's the idea of why play in a casino when you could own some of it. So the literal online betting casino about anything and everything you want, launching a token. Does it look like it has the a setup for success based on what we talk about with projects we look at?
I don't know, man. What's their utility?
What's the utility? That is true.
I think that what they already have is fucking great, and people shouldn't, don't make new thing if what thing works fantastic. Well, I shouldn't say that. Don't try and you can only squeeze so much blood out of a rock, right? So like if you've already squeezed all the blood out of the rock, then don't squeeze the rock harder trying to get more blood, I suppose would be a better way to put it.
I think it's a very fair way to look at it. But at the same time, the other side of the coin is why leave money on the table if you believe that the money is there?
Oh, they're going to make a lot of money. There's no doubt about that. Like, if I was them, would I be doing the same thing? I don't know. Maybe
Everyone's
I'm not.
Got a coin.
Brendan, you are muted, good sir.
How do I keep getting muted? Am I surprised? No, I'm not surprised at all. Like, this is what happens. Projects get, excited. They want to make money, and it's a bull market. So everyone wants to launch coin.
That's fair. Yeah. Fuck them.
If you had to say that this is kind of like standard practice, or is this maybe an early top signal showing up? Which camp would you lean towards for Polymarket? Are they enough of an outlier where it's not a top signal?
I don't know. I always thought that they had a coin. I always thought they had some sort of crypto system built into their thing, but the fact that they're making one and launching it now, it's like, oh, that's what everyone's doing. So
I think they've been so crypto focused that it's not they're not really an outlier. They've been so like a lot of their stuff has been the crypto community betting. So I don't know. It doesn't seem like a top signal to me, but I think it's a very fair question.
If I had to put my 2 cents on it, I think that these guys are enough of a major player, and they've been crypto adjacent for so long that this is more of an inevitability as opposed to just kind of like the cash grab that we think a lot of top signals do end up looking like. It's the idea that for the top signals where it's like everything's making money, you throw a dart at whatever and it makes money, so everyone just wants to jump in because of that, not because of like the underlying fundamentals of like who they are, what they do, what utility they have, and the community that they serve, which for me, I think Polymarket hits all of those pretty much.
Polymarket is a fun place. And for some reason, I always thought they were on Polygon, which is why they were called Polymarket. And I'm only just now realizing that they are not on Polygon. So, oops. That's oopsie daisy for me. But yeah, like gambling site, gonna do a crypto thing. It just seems like I don't know, man, very coloring within the lines. I'm not wowed, I'm not zazzed by it. It's very like it's like, yeah, it makes sense that they would do that, I suppose. I don't know. What do you think, Zenith?
Sorry, can you rephrase the question, sir?
Like is this I want to basically redirect your own question back to you, if you haven't already surmised it pretty well already.
This makes sense. I think Brennan asked the $1 million question for this one, which is what is utility?
Yeah.
We've talked about it in the past when it comes to like GambleFi coins and whatnot for like online casinos and like market makers and sports betting and stuff. We think that those kinds of projects have a good amount of upside potential to them from the investor standpoint, because it appears that they have market fit and they have a lot of market adoption. I would argue that Polymarket already has a ton of market share on their own. Like they are, in my opinion, the number one like online betting stuff that's like not even crypto related, but it just happens that a lot of the crypto folks do like using it. So the utility is the big question here, which is like, okay, if you have the token, what does it do? I don't think we have that information yet, so we can't really say. And I think that for a project like this, that's going to be one of the big question marks that has to be answered, because there is no utility. What are you doing? Why are you launching it? At that point, it's just closer to a meme coin.
Now, what if you own a certain number of coins and you get 10% back additional on every bet you make?
Now we're talking. That's some utility.
But like, there's things they could do that would make the utility actually very interesting. So I think it is something interesting to watch. Like, look, there's nothing more than getting gamblers to want to gamble more because they think they can win more. You know, it's like, so there's a viability there. It's like, okay, I can make more money from these gamblers and from the token. Look, I don't know. It's interesting. Like, I think they could do some cool things with it. We'll see what it is. If it's just a coin that they're launching, and if you like us, buy our coin, like that's dumb. But if they bring in some sort of utility, or I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to launch some sort of new thing. Now we're doing, I don't know, X, along with our coin launch. Who knows? It's interesting to pay attention to. That's for sure.
It's true. The way that the structure works right now is that pretty much whenever you make a bet, you become kind of like the pool of money for that thing. And then they are just the utility providing that this thing is adjudicated and paid out at a certain point. So if you introduce something like a crypto token to it, you could theoretically use it for more liquidity coverage and stability. But at the same time, it looks like they kind of already got that piece figured out. So like Will said, if it ain't broke, why try to fix it? Food for thought. Tell you what, we talked about it a little bit.
Do we want to launch into CZ and Trump? Is that, were you about to do a smooth transition and I ruined it?
I was, but I was actually going a different direction than you were.
Oh,
I was
okay,
going here because we were talking about projects. So let's talk about projects real quick.
Yeah.
Well, Wintermute, YZI Labs, Pylon as crypto startups snag $100 million this week. That's no small chunk of change, and especially for crypto projects. Let's see what we got. 11 crypto companies raised $99.6 million this week, according to DeFi Llama data. This brings the total funding for crypto companies to nearly $22 billion so far in 2025 alone, far outpacing 2024's total of $11 billion. So we've doubled the amount of money coming into crypto startups. Investors from Galaxy Ventures and Codebase expected to go even higher, with investors expecting to plow through that $25 billion mark in 2025. Despite the October deleveraging, the crypto fundraising environment does remain stable. Gian Papa told DL News that while the crash did break records for the dollar amount leverage traders lost, the fundamental view of the market remains the same. We are more confident than ever that financial services are going to be replatformed onto blockchains, and view shocks like this as a way to bulletproof the on-chain financial systems of tomorrow. Carl Martin, co-founder of crypto M&A firm Areta, also pointed out that deal making takes months in advance and is typically conducted with longer time horizon than market resets. So far, sentiment and momentum continues to be strong, with no notable downturn in interest. The week's state of deals evidence that. On Tuesday, Coinbase acquired token fundraising platform Echo for $375 million, signaling renewed interest in the controversial initial coin offering. FalconX also acquired crypto asset manager 21 Shares on Wednesday in a bid to deepen footprint in the fast-growing ETF sector. So there you go. I think that the industries gave you their take of our great liquidation event 2 weeks ago right there, which is they just said, yep, people got leveraged, but next day, let's go. So overall sentiment from these guys at least seems very, very high. Does this surprise you that we're getting more and more money now, especially as we're approaching the top of the market? Or is this what we expected?
I would say it's what we expected. I I don't think it's necessarily the same type of expectation that I think I would have given you, half a year ago. Or maybe not half a year, maybe like a whole year ago. I would have probably said the very like crazy money flowing in all sorts of places. But like this like $100 million, no small amount of money. But like the raises that were happening last cycle is like you were looking at, billion-dollar raises. You were looking at $500 million raises and shit. Like that was super duper common and popular. And like right now, it feels like we've slingshotted up a bit, but like we hit something that plateaued out all the energy that we thought that we would have, and the money's not flowing as freely. The economy's not doing crazy well. The US dollar is not doing awesome. Inflation and money printing has finally caught up to us from all of the COVID stuff, or something along those lines. I don't know. So I would have thought it'd have been crazier. I would have thought it'd be more. I mean, this again is still a significant chunk, but I would have presumed it to be crazy higher. So it goes to show, what do I know and what my old expectations are versus new things. What do you guys think?
I'm surprised people are putting in this much money at this time of the cycle to new projects. So I actually think it's pretty high. And also, really? I think that it means that people think the cycle is going to be a little bit longer than you might think, because most projects that start at this time going into a bear market end up dying. So this isn't a good time to end up putting your money into it. So it's actually surprising to me that they've put this much money in at this time of the cycle. I think that's kind of a more bullish news, but also at the same time surprising.
I'm right there with you. And I think there's a compounding effect as well, which is that in the article, they even noted, like straight up said, that we know these things take time to get going, and they're still putting it in now. So is this the kind of stuff that we predicted like 2-3 years ago? Yeah, this is the kind of typical cycle activity that we would have predicted. However, has this been a normal cycle? I would argue no. We hit all-time highs before the halving event. We got the ETF launches. We've had numerous massive dips along the way due to outsized factors. And then if you remember, one of the stats that they gave for this one was that 2024 raised 11 billion. 2025 is already at 22 billion, looking at 25. 2024 was the year where we had the Bitcoin ETF launch. We had the new all-time high. We also had the November pump to the new all-time highs then. So, and for 2025, we've pretty much spent the majority of the year around that 100K level and above. So the question for me is, why is the activity of this year bringing in more money than last year, when last year really was the breakout year? Because remember, we started 2024, I want to say Bitcoin price was probably like $36,000. And then we finished it off at close to like 90,000. And then we also hit 72,000 back in March. So for me, it's trying to like compare these two things and figure out what's going on here. Am I surprised that they're putting in money at this point? No, absolutely not. It still goes back to what I said at the beginning. This was expected, but the comparison of those 2 years for me, it does raise some question marks about what exactly is going on. And I think one of the viable options that you can point to is when the Trump administration got into office, it was the new SEC, new leadership, new direction, new regulations, and new attitude about crypto projects in this environment. So because you have a lot friendlier environment, I'm not surprised that there's more money coming in. But from the price perspective, I'm slightly surprised that we didn't see 2024 outperform it a little bit than this one. I mean, I'll say it as well. Like, I know Will likes to introduce me as the government and legal analyst on here, but this year I've been doing a lot more government analysis than legal analysis, largely due to the new SEC not suing everybody. That was what they were doing back during the Gary Gensler days.
They took away our moneymaker. They took away Zenith's raison d'etre.
Niche.
They took our germs. They took our germs.
Look, I'm happy about it. I'm very happy about it. If there are less people getting sued frivolously in this space, I think that is a fantastic thing. And it's something we've been asking for a long time. So, look, I'm happy. Put me out of a job. I'll find something else to do. It gives me more time to paint Warhammer with Will.
There you go. Excellent. Brennan, you doing all right there, broski? You holding up with the voice?
Not great, but doing okay.
Tell you what, we'll get one more and then we'll get out of here. How's that sound?
I keep trying to mute myself when I cough. Apologies.
Oh no, you're fine.
You're good,
fine.
big guy. Right, folks at home, he's suffering through it for you guys to bring you the best content we possibly can. And we also like hanging out with the guys. We like seeing them on screen as well. All right, here we go. Representative Maxine Waters lambasts Trump's CZ pardon in a scathing sentiment. Well, let's go back a little bit here. What exactly happened? Well, Donald Trump pardoned CZ. Why would you pardon CZ? Well, because he got convicted of doing some not very kosher things with Binance back in 2024, and our boy here had the prison arc, as most good TV shows do at some point. So he did 4 months in the clanker, got out, but now he's one of the few folks that actually can claim to be an ex-felon. Although I don't think he was technically a felon for the crimes, but the sentiment remains the same. So from CZ, we have, I'm deeply grateful for today's pardon and to President Trump for upholding America's commitment to fairness, innovation, and justice. We'll do everything we can to make America the crypto capital of the world and advance Web3 worldwide. Interesting stuff. Okay.
I want to just say real quick, he's the only person ever to have gone to jail for this crime of the financial moving and stuff. It's like it was precedent set. So, or it was not precedent set. It was like just unheard of that they punished him in this sort of way. So, sorry though, Z, please continue.
No, that's a good point. I'm gonna have to check my notes and see what they got Sam Bankman-Fried on, because I want to say they were in similar camps. Although notably, the FTX scandal was way worse. By the way, also shout out FTX folks. There are some repayments coming, so keep your eyes out for that. But yeah, there are people on both sides of the camp on this one. People that say that the crimes he committed were kind of false and trumped up a little bit, largely just due to the SEC interpretation of laws in the past. And then there are also people on the other side of the camp that are shouting at Trump for they just don't like Trump, or they're like, why are you pardoning this guy? This is a stupid move and dumb and just shows corruption.
I have a quick the update. I asked AI Gemini what the difference was in crimes between the two, if we're interested in that. I don't want to interrupt the flow though.
No, hit it. Go for it.
So Sam Bankman-Fried was found guilty of wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, multiple securities fraud, conspiracy, and money laundering. Basically, he misappropriated billions of dollars of customer funds from FTX for his own use, which led to the company's collapse. And CZ, they charged him, and he pleaded guilty to money laundering violations and conspiracy to commit money laundering for failing to implement adequate anti-money laundering program at Binance. So the underlying crime is that he allowed criminals, terrorists, and child abusers to conduct transactions on the platform because he failed to implement, proper controls. So there's like the difference between, hey, I'm Sam Bankman-Fried and I'm going to take all the customers' money, I'm going to go gamble on the stock market with it, versus CZ Binance, which is like, hey, you guys can use our platform to move money around, and oh no, if you're like a criminal child, whatever, like there's people that used his product that he made. So it's kind of like it makes sense that he was pardoned, because it's in my opinion, if a person makes something, they're not liable for the way that other people use it. Like if I invent a hammer, I'm not responsible for all the houses built, just like I am not responsible for all the noggins that get bunked, So
you're entirely right. And to be honest, I'm right there with you. It's why product liability lawsuits are the way that they are. It's when the most famous example of this is pretty much under the Biden administration. There were groups of people that were trying to sue firearms manufacturers over like school shootings and stuff, saying that you enabled this. And it's like, no, we made a tool. Other people decided to do other things for it. If you want to try to sue like a firearms manufacturer, you can sue them for making a faulty product, but you can't sue them for what it's being used for. For the Binance case, that's kind of a similar thing here, look, I'm right there with you. Just because you had this tool and people used it nefariously, it doesn't mean that you were the one using it nefariously. Granted, finance is one of the most regulated industries that we have in the United States. So am I surprised that kind of thing happened? No, but at the same time, seed and pardon for crypto folks, I think it's part of a trend. And I think it's I'm not going to say necessary, but I think it definitely helps the public image of cryptocurrency overall, that will help with public adoption and the overall like brand recognition of it and acceptance as a actual legitimate financial product.
Let's not forget that the judge essentially thought that it was whack because he was convicted and the government wanted to do him 30 months in prison and the judge gave him 4 months, right? It was like a slap of the wrist. Like, okay, no one's ever gone to jail or really gotten prosecuted this harshly for this type of offense, in quotations, like Will said. So it was a joke to begin with. It was the last administration going after people that were creating crypto projects, going after people that were building on blockchain. And look, it was Operation Choke Point 1.0 and 2.0, and he just got caught up in that. If it wasn't, it had nothing to do with that. If it didn't have to do with that, he would have nothing would have ever happened to him. So it was just like, it was kind of BS to begin with.
That's true. All right. Tell you what, I do have one final thing, and it is a bit of a shout out to Brendan as well, because you brought it to our attention. Good sir. Well, while the price of Pulse Chain and Hex might not be the greatest currently, there are a lot of people that are getting more interested in it. So coming to us from Twitter, this is from Brendan and some excellent research he was doing. We're getting more people talking about Pulse Chain and Hex. And there also may have been a small incident where PancakeSwap said they were going to retweet the top post, and it was a Pulse Chain post, and then they hit it and then refused to repost it. Then people are calling them out for it. But that one's neither here nor there. I like this one more because we're talking about people that are actually, getting in the space, and we love to see it. So like this one here coming to us from Jason AI Williams, going parabolic. He says, Richard Hart invited me to Iceland to hang out with him to be a part of his documentary. I regret not taking him up on it. Richard Hart win. Pulse will flip XRP. Richard put this on easy mode. It's time to take action. I full ported from Solana to Pulse. Solana is cooked. Time to back a winner.
All right.
How many X's would Pulse have to do from here to flip XRP?
Oh gosh,
XRP market cap is right now 158 billion.
Is including origin address or not including origin address?
That is a big question.
Yeah.
Tell you what. Okay, 158 billion. Pulse Chain market cap
and include the OA.
500 million. So let's pull up the handy dandy calculator.
Like
158, 123, 123.
Or no, third.
Yeah, almost 4x.
Yeah.
Wait, 500 million you said, or 500?
500 million market cap for Pulse Chain alone.
Okay.
So if Pulse Chain was going to flip XRP, it would do a 307x.
Oh.
That is the difference between the two currently. Does that get you guys excited potentially?
I mean, it would be cool. I don't know if it will flip XRP anytime soon. XRP army is pretty crazy, but it would be awesome. It would be fun to see.
Look, it doesn't matter if it flips it or not. If it does 100x, I'll be happy. The point is, somebody like this, Zenith, how many followers does this Jason AI Williams have out of curiosity? He has money. We see that.
275,000
followers.
Is that more than
damn
good
good?
Ricky Hart? That might be more than good old Ricky.
Pretty damn good.
And by the way, the other gentleman that you shared with me, Travolg Crypto, even bigger, 471,000 followers.
Look at that.
What did he say?
He said, you know what? Fair play. The Hex Pulse Chain community is elite.
Ooh.
Maybe we do the space on chains.
First comment, those mofos rated the shit out of me.
Yo.
Also, we got our boy Crypto Coffee as well.
Yep, there you go, Coffee.
Oh, look at that. We got Brendan too.
And
Mr. Shill Gates.
Oh man, this is great. I love whenever I see someone else post something and it's just nothing but kindness from tons of Pulse Chain people. That's awesome.
It's the Pulse Chain army has been raiding like crazy the last couple of weeks. There's been like, a month ago, it was like the bottom most sentiment you can ever imagine. Richard Hart rips off 1,000 tweets, Tornado cashes all the Ethereum, and people are like invigorated again. I also think, Richard Hart calling people out, people had to look down inside themselves a little bit, like, what am I doing? And the raid army right now is going crazy. Every comment that someone talks about, I just see the Pulse Chain army going absolutely nuts. And we're starting to see real influencers that have never interacted with the Pulse Chain community before becoming very interested in it, because everyone, even if they don't like us, has started to say that the cult that is Pulse Chain and Hex is legit. In this case, he says elite. And we already knew that. Like, look, how many projects and ecosystems would have this much visceral interaction when you're down like 99%? Nobody. The chains wouldn't exist. So to have this many people still involved in the chain, how many people are making videos, conferences, all this stuff at these prices, I think it speaks very highly to the chain. And I think it speaks even more highly that, like, when people start to come in, man, we're ready to pop off. We're really ready to pop off.
I agree. Look, does it feel good to have the ego stroked a little bit? Yeah, for sure. But at the same time, this is what we've been talking about for a while there, which is that one of the reasons that we like Pulse Chain and the Hex community so much, or Pulse Chain and Hex, the projects, is because we like the community so much. It's one of the most active ones in the space, and that is massive when it comes to adoption, which, by the way, is kind of necessary if you want a project to start popping off. So more people getting into it, more people kind of, I don't know, seeing the truth, if you will. I think it's fantastic. Alrighty, we'll tell you what. Mr. Will Stevenson, do you have the sheet?
It's time for chat motherfucking shoutouts, ladies and germs.
All right. First and foremost, I do want to give a small shout out to Brown. He's doing the Dodgers chat's pretty good here. We did show it on Polymarket. I think the Dodgers are currently sitting at 69% chance to win the World Series. So there you go. Some good news for you. But more importantly, Mr. Moonmutt showing up says, good to see my DGen friends tonight. Always a pleasure to see you as well, sir. Another DGen friend, Hex Glenn, says DGens with the fire emoji. Always a pleasure. And, oh, good friends. We got Tantab. She says, hello, my lovelies. Great seeing you. Thanks for stopping by. We also got Smooth Brain, a.k.a. Boomstick. Thanks for hanging in with us, brother. Hope you feel better. There you go, Brennan. People throwing you some love. I'd love to see it. We got Moondog coming in. Hola, DGens. Love to see it. Always a pleasure. Thanks so much for showing up to all the book clubs, by the way. We love having you on there. You have some really, really good insight. Having folks in the chat like actually interact with what we're talking about and stuff, it's part of what makes this so much fun and so enjoyable, and we love doing it for that reason. Moondog is one of those guys that does it the best, so thank you so much, good sir. And another one who does it very, very well, Mr. Slide 180, says, how about a drink instead of yapping? Prost. Good to see you, sir. Prost to you as well. Alrighty. Gentlemen, that is going to be it for our show here tonight. So, any final thoughts before we get out of here? Mr. Brendan, where can the folks find you? What do you got going on?
I'm muted. You can find me on X. I'm around. I'm in the chat. Come find us on Telegram, and let's do that damn thing.
Let's do it. Mr. Will Stevenson, where can the folks find you? What do you got going on? And any final thoughts?
The folks can find me at will.pls.fy. That's where all my socials are found. And as far as final thoughts, I think that it is kind of interesting that Donald Trump has selected a Bitcoin supporter, Michael Selig, as the head of the CFTC. So that's something that's a little bit interesting. I saw that while scrolling through the headlines a little bit ago. But yeah, I got nothing else to think about or talk about. For the folks in Indiana, I'm going to be swinging through there and then coming right back to Nebraska. So if you guys are in that zone, I would love to come meet up with you. If you guys are a Hexkin, you want to meet other Hexkins, by the way, go to t.me/hex_meetup, and you can go and meet Hexkins, and it would be super awesome and cool. We'd love to have you there. Love to have you as part of our meetup stuffs. So that's all that I've got. Zenith, where can the folks find you, and what do you have going on in the near future?
Well, folks, you can find me and all of our excellent cast here on all of our regular streams, which, by the way, we stream Sunday, Wednesday, and Fridays. So coming up next, we got a Whiskey Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, as is all of our streams. Additionally, we have Book Club this Friday, being led by yours truly. We're going to be covering Exorbitant Privilege, The Rise and Fall of the U.S. Dollar by Barry Eichengreen. This is my one of my Devil's Advocate ARCs books, so we are covering books specifically from the other side of the point of view. So I'm curious to see what the argument for the fiat US dollar is, so that we can better understand it, steelman it, and then see if we can argue against it ourselves and try to take her down. Outside of that, we're going to be back next week on Sunday for our flagship news show. As always, right here, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Might be talking about the CFTC commissioner that Will just brought up there. But outside of that, we're going to keep on bringing you the latest and greatest with all the crypto stuff going on and watching the markets. Because, folks, it's about time. Like, if you are the 4-year cycle gang, which, by the way, most of us here are, and I think most of you guys are as well, we're entering the end game. So please keep your head on a swivel. Have your strategy and your plan already. So that way you're not going to be open to making some foolish ideas when the emotions get high. Because, well, market psychology chart is still undefeated. So keep it up there. Centurion 54X, love you too, big guy. Thank you so much. And then outside of that, you can find me on Instagram and X at zenithdi. But you can also find us all inside the Telegram, which you can access by scanning the QR code right next to Will. Gentlemen, final thoughts, or shall we do the thing?
I will
Do the
say,
thing. Oh, go ahead.
one final thought. It was wonderful to see you gentlemen in your smiling faces, in your do-rags, in your beers, in your nice gelled hair. And my voice is ready for some sleep. So good night.
Excellent. Love to hear it. Final shout out to the San Jose Sharks, my favorite worst hockey team ever. Got their first win of the year, by the way. But that's neither here nor there. Alrighty, folks, you know what time it is. I got to get myself ready. I want to thank you all for spending your valuable time here with us tonight on the DGen Roundtable. As our very own Agent J often says, we know that time is your most valuable asset, and we want to appreciate you investing it here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Zenith, but more importantly, you have been watching the DGen Roundtable. Mr. Producer, that is me. Go ahead and get that trigger finger ready, because it's time to remind all the folks at home to remember to DGen responsibly.